Am I the a-hole for being honest with my aunt about my life and making her feel bad? So when I was 13, my mom and I had to leave our house for safety. We went to stay with my aunt, who at the time was the only family member who lived in the same country as us. Aunt agreed to take us in and said we could stay as long as we wanted until we found a new place. Well, 3 weeks and she kicks us out without warning and mom and I are back on the road. It was awful. It took a huge toll and on both our mental and physical health. My grades dropped. I became antisocial and a problem child in school. We would couch surf and go from hotel to hotel. Because he had complete control over my mom's money when they were together. My mom had less than 100 in the bank and would scramble to get money. She worked 3 jobs and I worked 1. We spent time in homeless shelters and there was a point in time where my mom was seriously thinking that foster care would be best for me. When I was 16 we managed to secure a tiny 1-room apartment and we've been living there ever since. I turned 18 a couple of weeks ago and my aunt got in contact out of the blue. She said some BS about how my mom refused to keep in contact with her, we couldn't really afford to maintain the cost of phones, and how she'd like to see me again. I agreed. But the meeting quickly turned sour. I don't know why, but she assumes that after she kicked us out, we were living our best lives. I snapped and told her much that once decision ducked our lives up, and I will never forgive her. I was pretty harsh in my words, but I couldn't believe she seriously thought kicking out a mentally, physically and financially broken mother and her child would end well. I stormed out. She started crying when I explained the above. Last night I got a message from her essentially begging for my forgiveness because she can't sleep and she feels so awful. Am I the a-hole? Edit. I don't know why she kicked us out. Mom and I came back from school and we saw our bags packed and on the front driveway. Aunt comes out and says we have to find somewhere else to live. You're not the a-hole. I feel like someone isn't telling you all the information though. Did she give you a reason for why she kicked you guys out to begin with? It makes no sense to me that someone would do that. She should feel bad. Has she tried to make amends with your mom as well? I have so many questions. LOL. One thing I will say is that you should be proud of what you both accomplished given the limited resources. Be proud of your resilience. Best of luck. You're not the a-hole. What did she think would happen? She deserves to feel awful and realize the truth of what she did. Your honesty is for the best. You don't want her going around bragging she kicked her sister and niece out of her house, and it was the best thing she ever did, and you've been living wonderful lives ever since. If she couldn't share her home any longer, that's one thing, but to kick you both out and assume it was the best thing that ever happened to you is her living in fantasy land. It's alright if you don't forgive her too. What she did has had a huge impact on your life. It's okay if you can't get beyond that. I'm sorry all this happened to you. I don't think we can judge here, because we have no idea why your aunt kicked you out. I would advise you to ask her for her version of the story, not necessarily to believe it, but to have it. I don't know how much your mom has told you, but I would talk to her again too. It is strange that she would take you in and then abruptly kick you out. You said in a comment that she packed your bags and put them on the sidewalk. That is pretty extreme. You might not ever be able to forgive her for that no matter what the reason, but I think that it is worth finding out. You can be blunt about this. You don't need to listen to apologies and tears etc. You can ask for the reasons and no more. It feels like some info is missing here about exactly what happened when she kicked you out. That may be because you aren't aware of those details. Sounds like something happened between your mother and your mother decided to go no contact and your aunt respected that, because as soon as you became a legal adult she's got back in touch and sounds like she's still not saying anything negative about your mother. You're not the a-hole for telling her the truth. However, if you will never forgive her, I don't get why you met up with her. You're not the a-hole. I agree with other comments that there is necessary info missing, and I realize that you don't know the reasons why she booted you both. I suspect your mother may have more insight, as it would be very odd for her to welcome you both and then do that for no reason. However, all that aside, you were 13, and I'm sure she knew you both had nowhere to go and nothing financially, or you wouldn't have been crashing at her place. At the very least, even if she had an issue with your mom, they should have agreed between the two of them to leave you in a stable, safe house with the aunt until your mom was able to get herself into an apartment and a situation where she wouldn't be uprooting you from school, etc. Mom may not have been thinking straight if she was panicked, but aunt should have been. I'm sorry that your schooling suffered as a result, and I hope you and your mom can both forge a safe and happy future now. You're not the a-hole. She made assumptions that all was well, and you gave her a reality check. If your aunt is feeling bad now, that's her problem, not yours. It doesn't matter if info is missing in this post. You were 13 and forced to live in poverty. You don't do that to a child. Your aunt may have had an issue with your mom, but then why kick you out? Your mom, sure, but your aunt wouldn't be calling, apologizing, or asking for forgiveness if she wasn't in the wrong. As for accusing your mom of not keeping in contact with her, why would your mom keep in contact with her? I wouldn't keep in contact with anyone who kicked me and my kid out while at my lowest. You're not the a-hole, but I just wanted to throw this out that a sub has a pretty consistent record of telling family to throw other members of their family out. Now, reasons vary, but I'm just saying this is the other end of it. We don't live in people's homes or heads. But just saying that, if the aunt came here and told her story, we might all vote you're not the a-hole for her too. There was a man on here a few weeks ago whose daughter was having serious medical issues because his niece was taking hours-long baths. He updated recently and said the niece still takes baths, but not when the daughter is there, and that he and his daughter now were sleeping on the couch so the niece could have some privacy. People were berating him in some of the comments, saying he needed to kick them out. Like this guy was perfectly justified in trying to find a solution that didn't involve kicking his disabled sister and teenage niece out of their house, in my opinion. But to the hive mind, to the streets they must go, even though he worked out a way for it to work for the time being. So this is a similar story, but told from the niece's perspective. This is why people are not weak or stupid for refusing to kick out a relative right away. Thanks for watching. Consider subscribing for more videos.